A day before my daughter's wedding, I said, I can't wait for you to get married tomorrow. My wife chuckled. What? The wedding happened yesterday. My daughter showed me her phone. There were photos of everyone there. My wife shrugged. Guess I forgot to tell you. Haha. I left them without a word. But they were the ones who regretted it. Part 2. I stared at my phone, my fingers numb from both the cold and the silent rage curling in my gut. No missed calls, no texts, no last-minute explanations. Nothing, not even a fake attempt to cover up what they had done. I exhaled slowly, watching my breath cloud in the winter air, and did something I never thought I'd do. I opened my banking app for the first time in decades. I looked at my finances not as a provider, not as a husband or father, but as a man who had been used, a man who had been nothing more than an ATM to his own family. There it was, every mortgage payment, every credit card bill, every check sent to Sophia, every monthly deposit into Deborah's personal account, all done by me for them. And they had the audacity to throw a wedding without me. I inhaled sharply, my fingers tightening around my phone. As I scrolled through my transactions, the wedding payments, every single venue deposit, catering expense, floral arrangement, dress fitting, and luxury honeymoon package had been covered by me. And yet they had looked me in the eye, laughed in my face, and acted like I was irrelevant. I had funded an event I wasn't even considered worthy enough to attend. My mind was running, piecing everything together, and with each realization, something inside me hardened. This wasn't just a moment of forgetfulness. This was accidental. This was calculated. I turned around and walked back toward the house, my steps slow, deliberate. I wasn't sure what I expected to find when I walked back inside. Maybe a sliver of remorse. Maybe even a half-hearted attempt at an apology. But when I stepped through the front door, all I heard was laughter. Deborah's light, careless chuckle, Sophia's amused giggle. I stopped just before entering the dining room, listening. Dad's going to be fine, Sophia was saying, her voice casual, unconcerned. He always gets over things. Exactly, Deborah agreed. You know how he is. He sulks for a while, then he moves on. I told you, honey, he wouldn't have fit in at the wedding anyway. It was elegant. You know how stiff he can be. My blood turned to ice. Elegant, stiff. I took a slow, measured breath and stepped into the room. The second they saw me, the conversation stopped. Sophia stiffened, her lips pressing together. Deborah looked up at me, her face smooth, unreadable. They weren't guilty. They were waiting for me to act the way they expected, angry at first, but eventually forgiving, because that's what I had always done. I let things go. I kept the peace. I swallowed my hurt, because I thought that's what family was supposed to do. Not this time. So I said, keeping my voice steady, you threw a wedding without me. Sophia sighed, already tired of the conversation she had barely participated in. Dad, please don't make this dramatic. I arched an eyebrow. Dramatic? I wasn't even invited to my own daughter's wedding. It wasn't like that. Deborah cut in smoothly. We just figured. No, I interrupted, my voice dangerously calm. You didn't forget you decided I didn't belong. No one spoke. I looked at Sophia. Do you have any idea what you've done? I asked. She shrugged. Dad, you're acting like we abandoned you. It was just a wedding. I'm still your daughter. You're still my father. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. I let those words sink in, the sheer audacity of them. They had excluded me, mocked me behind my back, used me, and still expected me to continue providing for them as if nothing had happened. I was done, completely, entirely done. Right, I said softly, stepping back from the table. Nothing changes. They didn't notice the shift in my tone. They didn't realize I had just made the biggest decision of my life. Deborah took a sip of her wine. Malcolm, don't be childish. You're making a big deal out of nothing. A big deal out of nothing, I repeated. Sophia rolled her eyes. Dad, come on, we had limited seats and Mom thought, I repeated, so you had no say in your own wedding guest list. Sophia hesitated, and that's when I saw it. She hadn't cared enough to argue. She hadn't cared enough to fight for me. I nodded slowly, stepping back toward the hallway. Got it. Deborah raised an eyebrow. Where are you going? I need some air, I said simply. I grabbed my coat again, walked outside, and did what I should have done years ago. I opened my banking app again, and one by one I started shutting it all down. The mortgage payments stopped, the credit cards in Deborah's name canceled, the monthly deposits into Sophia's account, the inheritance fund I had set up for her revoked. They didn't need me at the wedding. Let's see how well they did without my money either. I stood on the porch, taking in the quiet night, feeling lighter than I had in years. They thought I was predictable. They thought I would always bend, always forgive, always stay. But they had made one critical mistake. They had underestimated just how much I could take. And they were about to find out what it felt like when the man they had stopped playing the fool. Because as far as I was concerned, I was done being their ATM, and I had no plans of looking back. I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel, staring at the house I had spent the last 30 years building, the house that had seen birthdays, anniversaries, first steps, and late-night family dinners. Home. Or at least that's what I had thought it was. But homes are built on love, on mutual respect, on the belief that you belong. And I didn't belong here anymore, not to them. I was a bank account with legs, a walking convenience, the one they turned to when bills needed paying, when debts needed clearing, when dreams needed funding. But when it came to including me in their lives, I was disposable. And the worst part, one had let it happen. For years I had excused it, ignored it, rationalized it. I had told myself that's just how families are. I had let myself believe that as long as I kept giving, kept sacrificing, they would see my worth. But they had seen my worth, they just never valued it. A cold, sharp realization settled in my chest as I sat in the driveway, the glow of the house's windows illuminating the stark truth. This wasn't a mistake. They weren't sorry, and they weren't going to change. So why the hell should I stay? I reached for my phone, opening the contact list. My lawyer's number was near the top. I stared at it. I could start right now. Call him, tell him to start the paperwork, divorce, financial restructuring, asset liquidation. Everything I had built for them, the house, the credit cards, the safety net, it all existed because of me. And if I walked away, if I truly completely walked away, they had nothing. I let out a slow breath, pressing my thumb against my phone screen. But I didn't call not yet, because I wasn't done not yet. I pushed the door open, stepping back into the freezing night air. My breath fogged in front of me, as I walked back to the house, my footsteps deliberate, my heartbeat steady. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. When I walked inside, Deborah was still at the dining table, sipping her wine like nothing had happened. Sophia had moved to the couch, scrolling through her phone, her face as blank as ever. I stood in the entryway watching them. They didn't even flinch, didn't look guilty, didn't even try to explain themselves. Because why would they? They thought they had already won, that I would get over it like I always did, that I would sulk for a few days, then go back to paying for their lives like nothing had happened. I let the silence stretch. Then finally, Deborah sighed, setting her glass down with a soft clink. Are you done being dramatic? I smiled, not because I was amused, not because I found any of this remotely funny, but because I knew something she didn't. I wasn't being dramatic, I was being done. Oh, I'm done, all right. Her eyebrows knitted together, the first flicker of something that almost looked like unease crossing her face. Look, Malcolm, she said, exasperation in her voice. I know you're upset, but it was just a wedding. You're acting like we burned the house down. I tilted my head slightly. That's an interesting way to put it, Deborah. Because in a way you did. She scoffed. Oh, come on. I turned my gaze to Sophia and you. I asked nothing to say. Sophia barely looked up from her phone.
Now comment update to tag you on part 3.